This is Our Voice 360 podcast, our perspectives, our way. Hey, I'm your host, Chad Bumgarner, and Our Voice 360 is a podcast from our perspective, providing inspiration, business and leadership tips, Black history knowledge, sports, current news events, and self-help insight, along with other information to keep you in the know while you're on the go. Today, we'll kick off the show with a little motivation and inspiration from none other than Mike Brown. Right after that, we'll get some great business and leadership tips and insight from the leadership coach himself, me, Chad Bumgarner. Then we'll switch gears a bit and get educated on who we are when Mike Brown comes back to us with some Black history pearls of knowledge of self. Next up, we'll get our sports commentary and updates with our sports guru, Pete Hunt. Following Pete will be the brilliant and talented news reporter, Fentress Chestnut Fountain, with our current news events information. And rounding out the show will be our main man, Ivan Hunt, with his very own segment, Keep It Moving, showing us how to overcome any obstacles we face in order to gain success in life. Okay, are you ready?
Let's go! Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to Our Voice 360. It's your man, Michael Brown. Hey, listen. On your road to success in life, you're going to have to learn to be your own best cheerleader. Okay, yeah, it's great to have people behind you, pushing you, saying we're proud of you, the things you've accomplished. But what about when nobody's there? You see what I'm saying? When nobody is in that room but you, somebody has to say to you, let's get this. I know we got it. And that person has got to be you. It's great to have people behind you on your team. But when it comes down to it, you're the only one who has to make that thing happen. You see what I'm saying? Always remember that. It's good to have cheerleaders, but sometimes you got to have your own pep rally. All right? Thank y'all again for tuning in. Our Voice 360. It's your man, Mike Brown. Let's go.
You're listening to the Our Voice 360 podcast, our perspectives from our way, keeping you in the know while you're on the go. Hey everyone, this is Chad Bumgarner with another edition of The Intentional Leader. How to handle diversity and inclusion in the workplace. Well, diversity and inclusion can provide a competitive edge, but knowing that you need them both and managing them are two totally different things. Now, as you know, a lot of companies spend quite a bit of time, energy, and resources ensuring that there is diversity and inclusion in their environments. Now, managing diversity in any environment or workplace is a critical skill that leaders need to hone. So according to a report found in the Scientific American, years of research proves that working with diverse people encourages us to push past our usual boundaries and to think differently. Creativity and innovation is encouraged. And another study shows that gender diverse companies are 15% more likely to outperform their peers, and ethnically diverse companies are 35% more likely to do the same. Now, the biggest mistake that managers make in trying to lead a diverse team is trying to implement the same style of management for each person on the team. Not being able to properly manage a diverse team can have a negative impact on a company, from low morale to high turnover, which is obviously the complete opposite of what a successful, well-managed diverse team, or workforce, I should say, can deliver. So what's the solution to managing a diverse team correctly? Well, adjusting your leadership style depending on the person and situation. You see, how effectively you manage one person may not necessarily be the right way to manage, motivate, and lead another. To aid in adjusting your leadership with your diverse team, keep these three things in mind and focus on them. First thing is connect. Learn how to connect with your team individually to find out what motivates them. Now, people love two things: to be heard and to be understood. Making the effort to inquire about them on a personal level can give you insight as to what their passions and motivations are. When you begin to learn what makes everyone tick, you now have the knowledge to engage them and provide the right information they need in the way that they need to receive it. A quick story about connection. I had a boss at a previous job that I worked for, and every Friday at 4 o'clock, he would make us go to the pub. And from 4 to 5, we would not talk shop. We would only talk about, our families or personal passions that we had. And that was his way of getting to connect with us, getting to know us on a personal level. And it paid off huge dividends for not only him, but for the team itself. So connection is very important. The second thing is creative collaboration. In order for this to work the right way, you have to set the team up for success by clearly identifying the company and department goals. Let them know what's expected of them to deliver on those goals, and then allow your team to creatively collaborate around how to get it done. A diverse team will provide an array of different viewpoints, so use that information to your advantage. Finally, set checkpoints during the process to make sure you are all staying aligned with the goals. Checkpoints are only put in place to offer continuous support, not to micromanage. Keep them on point and clear any and all obstacles on the path to success. And the final piece is constant communication. Give frequent coaching and feedback on how they're doing. Your role is to build your bench strength, aligning around the same goals and providing insights to the employee where they could have had an even greater impact. In essence, managing diversity and inclusion in this increasingly multi-generational and multi-ethnic workforce requires that you connect intentionally, creatively collaborate, and have constant communication with each person in the manner that works for them. When you do, you create a more engaged, motivated, and focused workforce ready to deliver impactful results. All right, well, that's it for me. This has been another edition of The Intentional Leader. To find out more about me and what I do, please visit my website at www.chadbumgarner.co. You can also hit me on Twitter at Chad_Bumgarner. That's my Twitter handle. As well as check out the video versions of my podcast segment on YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in to Our Voice 360. And remember, great leadership equals great results. How are you leading? Hi, are you tired of high turnover rates, constant confusion on the team, or maybe even low or mediocre productivity from your team? Well, the CDB Consulting Group has the experience and the business acumen to correct those issues and take you and your team to the next level. So contact us today. Go to www.chadbumgarner.co or call us at 678-571-2773. And remember, great leadership equals great results. How are you leading?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Our Voice 360. This is M. Brown. Today, we're speaking on Jill Brown Hiltz. Jill Brown Hiltz made history 40 years ago by becoming the first black woman pilot for a major commercial airline company. She is also the first black woman admitted to the U.S. Navy's pilot training program as well. Born Jill Elaine Brown in 1950, the Baltimore native's family were all big fans of aviation. By the time she was 17, the family purchased a small airplane, sparking a lifelong love of flying. Brown Hilt's stint in the Navy only lasted 6 months after she was honorably discharged, but finding her way back to the skies was elusive until her big break. The first black-owned and operated airline company, Wheeler Airlines, hired Brown Hiltz as a ticket clerk, and she eventually worked her way up to becoming a pilot. She earned the requisite number of flight hours to become a pilot for a major airline in 1978. She flew for Texas International Airlines. Brown Hiltz reportedly said that Texas International was using her for publicity, and she eventually took her talents to Zan Top International Airlines. In 1990, she unsuccessfully sued American Airlines for racial and gender discrimination, losing an appeal in the matter in 1997. After her flying was complete, Brown Hiltz reportedly worked as an advocate for other black aviators. Once again, people, know yourself, know your worth. You can do anything that you set your mind to. This is M. Brown, Our Voice 360. We're out. Whether you go from state to state, coast to coast, there is no job too big, no project too small for Elect Graphics and Photography. If it's important to you, then it's important to us. Allow Elect Graphics and Photography to take care of all your graphic design, audio, and video needs. You can reach us at 828-855-3057. Thank you.
What's good, family? And welcome to the Sports Chronicles. I'm your host, Pete Hunt. Well, the NBA free agency season has started with a bang, with LeBron James signing with the Los Angeles Lakers and Kevin Durant re-signing with the Warriors. The gap between the Eastern and Western conferences is as big as I've ever seen it in the NBA. Even during the 90s when the Eastern Conference was dominating, I don't feel the gap was this great. Now let's get into some of the biggest signings of the free agent season. First, the champion Golden State Warriors. With the re-signing of Kevin Durant, the Warriors guaranteed to be the favorites to win the NBA title for the next couple of years. But the Warriors didn't sit around basking in championship glory. Their front office stayed aggressive and signed one of the biggest names in free agency, DeMarcus Boogie Cousins. The signing of Boogie Cousins gives the Warriors 5 All-Stars. Even with Boogie recovering from a torn Achilles, this was a risk the Warriors could afford to take. He will have a chance to fully recover from his injuries without the pressure of coming back too soon. But at some point this season, maybe right before the All-Star break, the Warriors will have a starting 5 of Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Boogie Cousins. That would be one of the best starting 5s of all time. The rich just keep getting richer. Now to the Los Angeles Lakers. The signing of LeBron James was not really a big surprise to most fans, but it did shift the power structure even more to the Western Conference. LeBron signing with the Lakers from a lifestyle view is a A-plus move, with all the ventures he has outside of basketball. But on the court, there are the big questions. First, how does LeBron gel with the young roster the Lakers have? As great as LeBron is, he has never played with a team this young. If you look at his championship years, he was surrounded by veterans who knew how to play their defined roles. The Lakers did sign 3 veterans in JaVale McGee, Lance Stevenson, and Rajon Rondo, but how would they mesh not only with LeBron, but with the young players on the Lakers team? Second, LeBron needs shooters. LeBron is very ball dominant, to say the least. The teams he has played on has always had good shooters. But this is not the case in LA. The Lakers were 29th in the league in three-point percentage last year. And the other free agents the Lakers signed are not known for their shooting. So I think that will continue to be an issue for the Lakers. Third, will LeBron stunt the growth of the young players of the Lakers? Going back to what I mentioned earlier, LeBron has always played with veterans, so they understood the role that they were going to play. The Lakers have some young talent that have the potential to be all-stars in the future. Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, and Josh Hart are very talented, but will LeBron's ball dominance stunt their growth? Also, with the other veterans the Lakers signed, it will be a very interesting locker room dynamic for those young players. The Lakers will be improved for sure, but they have quite a few teams to leap to get into the playoffs. One of the bigger surprise signings so far is Paul George re-signing with Oklahoma City. For the past 2 years, Paul George has been telling us that he was going to sign with the Lakers, but then he threw us a curveball, and I think it was a good decision for him. Building around him and Russell Westbrook is a good thing for OKC. There are also some very talented restricted free agents that have yet to sign, like Marcus Smart, Clint Capella, Joseph Nurkic, Zach LaVine, and Jabari Parker, but they won't be available too much longer. Thank you for listening to the Sports Chronicles exclusively on Our Voice 360.
You're listening to the Our Voice 360 podcast, our perspectives from our way, keeping you in the know while you're on the go.
You're listening to Our Voice 360, our perspectives, our way, keeping you in the know while you're on the go. I'm Fentress, and let's jump into my first segment, We Do It Big, celebrating Black excellence worldwide. This new Black History card game helps parents teach their children about their heritage. African American parents who want to teach their children about their heritage can now easily do so thanks to a new Black History card game, which is now available at blackhistorycardgame.com. The game is designed for children in grades K through 8. It's simple but very effective, called Guess Who, the card game that features 28 Black History legends. And that brings me to my next point, which I'll have in just a few moments. Black History, what happened this week. But for now, let's continue with the We Do It Big segment. To celebrate a recent milestone as entrepreneurs, Dondre Anderson and his two daughters recently were scheduled to make an appearance at the upcoming Essence Music Festival to share their story. They're based out of Atlanta, Georgia. Symphony Potato Chips, which is a Black-owned family business, continues to make major moves in the industry. The company, owned by father Dondre Anderson and his two daughters Amina and Amari, is already getting daily orders from all over the country, and just recently sold their 50,000th bag of potato chips. 48-year-old Kiko Davis is the majority stockholder of Detroit-based First Independence Bank, one of the 10 largest Black-owned banks in the United States. This makes her the only Black woman in the country who owns a bank. During an interview with Rolling Out, she said that what makes her unique as an African-American female leader is her ability to genuinely connect with people and inspire a culture of synergy. It's a God-given talent that comes naturally, she said. People tend to lend the very best of themselves when they feel leaders are passionate about them and their environment. Big ups to her. Alan D. Benson, the president of MHB Publishing out of Louisville, Kentucky, and community advocate, has released 2 books that will position and strengthen barbershop and beauty shop operations. The barbershop book, Keep That C High, and the beauty shop book, Her Hair is Her Crown of Glory, teach business principles for owning, growing, and sustaining a business. They discuss practical and common sense approaches for marketing your business, having excellent customer service, exercising prudent financial management, having the right team in your business, expanding your business, and investing in yourself and business. So I might have to check that out myself. Not that I'm a beautician or anything, but I just think it's a cool read. Based out of Columbus, Ohio, Doe and Johnny Carter are the founders of one of the most popular and critically acclaimed food trucks in the country. Strip Lips is not only delicious, but their food is made with the freshest ingredients that the Midwest can offer. Their super fresh seafood is ordered 2 to 3 times weekly and shipped in directly from the Gulf of Mexico. When it comes to quality and flavor, their recipe doesn't miss a beat. And now on to the Black History segment on This Week in Black History, starting off with July 2nd, 1964, when President Lyndon Johnson signed into law the landmark Civil Rights Act. The legislation abolished segregation in businesses such as theaters, restaurants, and hotels. The Civil Rights Act also banned discriminatory practices in employment and ended segregation in public places such as swimming pools, libraries, and public schools. The act stands as the most far-reaching civil rights legislation since the Reconstruction era. On July 3, 1944, Ruth Simmons, the first Black president of an Ivy League institution, was born. Simmons became the 18th president at Brown University in 2001. At Brown, she completed an initiative called Boldly Brown, the Campaign for Academic Enrichment. The $1.4 billion initiative was designed to boost the university's academic programs. At the end of the 2011-2012 academic year, Simmons stepped down from her position as Brown's president, but remained with the institution as an African Studies and Comparative Literature professor. On July 4, 1881, educator and activist Booker T. Washington founded the Tuskegee Normal and Industrial Institute, known today as Tuskegee University in Tuskegee, Alabama. Washington served as the school's first principal and presided over the first day of class, which was held in a one-room church before the first official building was erected 1 year later. A driving force behind building the school's legacy, Washington recruited the most qualified Black teachers to teach at the school, including scientist George Washington Carver. On July 5, 1852, Frederick Douglass, an escaped slave who later became a leader in the abolitionist movement, delivered his now iconic speech entitled The Meaning of July 4th for the Negro. The event at Corinthian Hall in Rochester, New York, commemorated the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776. And on July 6, 1957, born in South Carolina, the teenage Althea Gibson began playing tennis in Harlem, New York, and after winning 2 national Black women's tennis championships, she debuted at the U.S. Open in 1950. She became the first African American to win the singles and doubles titles at the French Open in 1957 on July 6. Gibson became the first African American to win the prestigious Wimbledon competition. In 1957, she won the U.S. Open again, and the Associated Press named her Female Athlete of the Year in 1957 and 1958. During her tennis career, she won 56 singles and doubles titles and is a member of the National Lawn Tennis Association Hall of Fame. And that's a rundown of what went on in Black history this week, and another look at what we are doing worldwide celebrating Black excellence. Credits to my sources, BET.com and BlackNews.com. Thanks again for listening, and be sure to watch me weeknights at 5:30 and 10 on WHKY News if you're in the Carolinas, and stay posted with my latest business moves and news stories by visiting my website, thefpcchannel.com. I'm Fentress. You're listening to Our Voice 360, our perspectives, our way, keeping you in the know while you're on the go. The FPC channel, hosted by yours truly, Fentress Chestnut Fountain, can be seen on any streaming device on your televisions. You can even watch from your phones on any social media platform. News, weather, and entertainment featuring some of today's biggest celebrity interviews. You don't want to miss out. You could also have your own TV show produced by Fentress Productions and Communications LLC to expand your brand or business and get your content seen. Call 828-261-6122 or visit thefpcchannel.com for more information.
Hey, it's me, Ivan Hunt, the host of the talk radio show, Keep It Moving. Today, I have a super guest. I have no idea how excited I am about having my guest on the show today. Her name is Stacey Rose. I've known Stacey for a long time. She could probably tell you one of my most horrible stories of life, but we won't go there today. Stacey, say hello to everybody in the Keep It Moving world.
Oh, hi, guys. I am so thrilled to be here. And Ivan, it is just a pleasure to see this evolution and see what you're doing. And I'm excited to just be along on the journey with you.
Yeah, well, the evolution part is really real. Like, when we first met, I had just moved to Miami.
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody. I was posing as a bookkeeper. The key word there was pose. but that's not the subject of today's conversation.
Right.
But again, I've been down here for about 18 years, so we've kind of known each other for probably about 17 years or so.
Yeah, a long
and
time.
When I first met you, you were a consultant.
Mm-hmm.
Now, tell me a little bit about your background, because you have a very, very diverse set of skills.
Yeah, so I grew up in Kingston, Jamaica. So I have Jamaican parents.
Right.
So Jamaican, like many other Caribbean parents, they're very strict when it comes to the educational aspect of life. You had to go to school and you had to go to college and get a good career, a real career. So even though I have been interested in the arts for a very long time, my parents weren't hearing about that. I could minor in it if I wanted to. I could do my little plays or whatever, but I got a business degree, international business and marketing, and I minored in theater. Okay. And then I got a master's degree in international business. So the business world was where I was, for a while, because, now that I look back, I was a little afraid to launch out to do what I knew I wanted to do. It was really, to be an actor at that time would really mean I'd have to fall backwards into darts, no safety net, just prancing among the daisies. So I was in the business world, which is where we met. I was consulting at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like the fact that you said that, the expectation of you, right, was for you to go get a degree, get a career, which I think a lot of, I don't want to even say minorities, I just think people in general,
right.
That's kind of the stigma or the expectation placed upon them.
Mm-hmm.
And you said it took a lot of courage. You know, how did you finally get to that space to where you said, you know what, I'm going for it, I'm all in?
You know, I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy in corporate America. I just wasn't. And the older I got, the more I realized it's my life. You know, at the end of it all, I have to be able to look myself in the eye, look in the mirror, and be happy with my days. I had to be happy with my life. And I also had the opportunity to meet some amazingly talented women who were actors, super talented, but they were probably in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and they had so much regret.
Wow.
They had regret for days, and their stories were filled with regret. And I said to myself, you know what? I don't want to be 50 with regret. I don't want to be 65 with regret. I don't want to be 42 with regret, you know? So I decided I'm just going to take a shot, you know? And if I fail, then at least I tried. I don't want to say woulda, shoulda. I don't want the woulda, shoulda, coulda thing. Right. So I wanted to take a chance and see if it would work out, you know? So I did.
Yeah, obviously. And I'll touch on that in a few minutes. And the irony of it is, too, you know, even when I moved down here, you know, I grew up under that same, you know, expectation. You know, you go to school, you get a degree, you get a career. Even after my little stint when we first met, you know, I was ridden with such guilt that it actually hindered my career for years until I learned how to move past it. But then I, too, got to the same spot in corporate where it's like, you know what, I hate this. I can't do this anymore. What were some of the steps that you took to create an exit strategy?
You know, so I'd always been acting. Okay. So that's a good thing. I never stopped. So even while I was doing I was in a corporate rat race and all of that, I was still acting on the side. I would call it my night job. Right. So I was doing plays, and I had a decent career in place. So I had my tools, I had my headshots, my resumes, I was building a reel, I had an agent, I had a manager, that type of thing. So I'd been building that all along because I knew sometime along the way I was going to have to make a decision. I was going to get to that fork in the road. So I think it's important to have that plan, you know, that plan B or that plan A, whichever one it is, right, working in the background. So when the time came, I just kind of veered off into that direction. It took a while to really let go of corporate America. And I even still do, because I also do radio. And on the radio side, there's a business element to it as well. Mm-hmm. So I still haven't really let it go 100%, but my full-time career is that of an actor at this point.
Good for you. Good for you. And it even sounds like more is your business tools is more so in a supporting role.
Yes.
Lack of better no. Sorry to find the analogy right there, but more of a supporting role versus the lead character in your life. So that's cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm happy that my parents insisted that I get a real degree. You know, but they insisted.
You can't even say job, can you?
Yeah, you know, I'm glad that they made sure that I went to college and got a degree, etc. Because you're right, those skills and those tools do play a big supporting role in my life now. Because even now that I've evolved to producing, there's a huge business element to that. So I'm glad that I know accounting, and I'm glad that I know marketing. I'm glad, you know, I have some idea about contracts, et cetera, because I can use that instead of having to pay somebody else. Right.
What was your biggest hurdle? And I hear a lot of these stories, and I look at, you know, the Emmys, the Golden Globes, and there's always this big deal when I don't like the term African American. So I like saying American Afro. Or American African, right? I'm American first, right? So that's my hint on that. Yeah. But you know, it's always such a big deal when the minority wins. Mm-hmm. What challenges did you face, or did you face any, regarding you being a woman, regarding you being a Black woman? Mm-hmm. What?
One of the major, I'd say, challenge was my hair.
Really?
Yeah, at that, it has changed now tremendously. But a few years ago, I had twisted hair, so it looked a little bit like locks.
Right.
I was pigeonholed into certain categories. You know, I could only play, or I would only get offered the role of the welfare mom or the nurse or, you know, single mom or things like that. And then I said to myself, you know what, I'm going to change my hair. So I started wearing a weave. I became unbelievable. Long straight weave. And immediately my auditions changed. Now I was the leading lady. I was the best friend. I was the surgeon. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, can you imagine all these years I'd been pushed in a certain direction because of my hair. I was being judged because of my hair. I wonder what other limitations have been placed on me because of who I am. So for me, I try not to think too much about it. I just keep my head down and I keep working, because if it's mine, my grandmother would always say, if it's yours, it's going to be yours. Yeah. So I just, regardless of what was going on, if I needed to change, I tried to adapt, tried to fit into the space, do the best that I could. And I know eventually, if it's mine, it's going to be mine. It may take a little while, but it's going to be mine. Yeah. So, yeah. So that was one of the major obstacles that I did see, but I overcame it. And I don't know if it still hinders me because my hair is now curly, but I now know that I have to have different hairstyles. I have to have I have to have the weave, and I have to have the curly hair, and I have a natural look as well, because we're different people for Black women. Unfortunately, me like this is not the same as me with a long weave, unfortunately.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you know, the fact that you are bringing, you know, making it known that that was actually one of the things that you were being judged with, and now that you're in producing, mm-hmm. you know, now you can change that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's powerful in and of itself.
Yeah. Yeah. I can do non-conventional casting. You know, it's not often, you know, and I was really thankful for my role on Ballers as I was a neurologist.
Right.
With curly hair. You know, it challenged the face of that character, right? Because we generally don't see Black women looking like that in those roles. You normally see a longer, straight hair, more, you know, finely coiffed type of woman. And this is what you saw, which was great. I loved it. So right. Now I really, in casting, I try to put different faces to, you know, the different roles that the world will see, especially when they experience women of color, right?
So and you know, congratulations on your role on Ballers too.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, I didn't know you were on there until I just happened to glance at it one time, because I never watched it. And yeah, I just never watched it, and I just happened to tune in one day, and I was like, oh, I know her.
Yeah.
But I like the fact. But what I liked about knowing you in the role was you being a doctor, and maybe because I know you outside of, you know, the entertainment industry, mm-hmm. would not be far-fetched.
Right.
I mean, it is truly within your realm of possibility.
Right. Yes. Absolutely. And we know that as people of color, but unfortunately, not everybody knows that, right? And not everybody knows that. And, you know, it's so funny. I would go to different places and women would come up to me with tears in their eyes and crying because they're so happy that their children can see a Black woman that looks like me in this type of role. It gives them something to aspire toward. And I never really thought that from that aspect, but I was grateful. I was grateful for the opportunity to touch people that way.
And I think another thing that's really powerful about that role too was the fact that you were able to place certain demands and hold that character who's this big guy, right? This complete alpha male, and hold him accountable for his actions.
Right. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I bet so.
Besides fading inside, you know, on the outside, I'm quite composed.
but you know, that dynamic, right? That here you are, you know, you have this black woman who's a doctor with the this big machismo football player who just quivers every time he has to walk through the door to see his doctor.
Right.
You know, that's a powerful, powerful message.
Yes. Yes.
So good for you. Good for you. What image is it, or what message do you want to portray or tell young women who are looking to get into acting?
So, you know, that I find as I get older that my purpose is defined a little bit more, right? So I am a woman of faith. I love the Lord. I'm a born again Christian. And I believe that God has a plan for everyone, right? And I know for me, I'm still trying to figure out the exact plan, but I know that there's something there that he's working out where the arts are concerned. And I feel that it is important for me to empower women, to let them know that they have value and they have worth that is not defined by the world, but is defined by this amazing supernatural being that created us, right? So and our value doesn't change. The value is intrinsic. It's a dollar's a dollar, right? Whether it's a wet dollar or a muddy dollar, or we're dollars. So we have tremendous value that does not change and will never change. So that's a part of my thinking all the time. So I try to be as selective as I can with the roles that I take, because everybody, I don't knock any role or any story. There are millions of stories to be told and millions of people to tell those stories. I think for me, I think God has a certain plan for me in terms of the types of stories that I should tell that are in line with my purpose in life, right? So whenever I choose a role, I keep that in the back of my mind as a guiding force, well, how does this story or how does this character affect you, Stacey, and how will it affect your audience? How do you feel when you walk away from this story? Are they walking away with anything? Are they challenged? Are they encouraged? Is there, what I mean? I really try to, I hope I'm not overthinking it, but as I get older, it refines itself. But these are some of the things that I think about when I approach a role or approach a project now that I'm producing. And I think it's important. At the end of the day, I need to be proud of the work that I produce, and I want to make sure I make a difference.
It's, two things. You said we all have a divine calling or a divine purpose for being here. One of my favorite quotes or researches by Dr. Ali Benazar. Benazar. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he posed the question, what are the odds of you being born?
I'm telling you.
And the odds are 1 in 400 trillion.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, and that's just with basic variables. That is nothing complex. There's no additional variables other than the facts that are known of you being here based off of your current lineage. Forget circumstance, So I agree with you. There has to be a reason for every person being here. The odds are just too mind-boggling for it to be a coincidence.
I'm telling you, mind-blowing.
And you mentioned another thing about your purpose. A lot of people that I encounter, struggle with trying to identify what their purpose is.
Yeah.
What advice would you give? I've got a 6-year-old daughter, right? Mm-hmm. So what would you tell my daughter, as she gets older, on how to clearly define or discover her purpose in life?
And I've just come to find out that in life, it starts with God. It really does. I don't think, and a lot of people would disagree and debate it, but I know I found it to be true for my life and for many others that you need God as that baseline in order to make sense of the world, because he provides so much definition for everything. Definition for myself, for yourself, for every person, and definition of the situations that happen to you in life. So even with my children, I have a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old.
I don't think I knew that. I don't think I knew that. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. The most important thing for them is that they find God as early as possible, because then God, that knowledge of God and that reverence and that respect for God will help them to understand and make sense of life, the events of life, and this world. I almost don't have any other way to say it. It starts there. So, and I know for my life, that's where it started. And it's not easy to find it, but if you relax in him, one of the things I tell myself all the time now, that we serve a big God. There's no accident with God. Can you imagine the God who created the universe? You think, oh, well, God, I don't know, I'm going through this thing. He knows. He knew you would go through it, and he knows how you're going to get out of it. Right. So it's about just relaxing in him, just trusting him. And every situation, every circumstance, every person you meet, every interaction, every experience is designed to shape you, to mold you, to form you, to strengthen you, to build you up. Every challenge is designed to build you up. So the bottom line, just reducing all of it, find God and live freely. You're right.
Right. Right. Not hinduistically, but freely.
yeah, of course. Live freely, and once you find God, you understand what your boundaries are, how high, how low, how wide, but it starts with finding him.
And there's freedom within boundaries once you understand that.
Yes, but that understanding, you have to understand that first. So that's my encouragement. Find God. You have to find God to make sense of this world.
And I can, not that you need the validation, but knowing you and knowing, we even went to church together. So I've seen, I know you practice what you preach. I know you live by faith, and you truly believe and do everything that you just said. I can attest to that.
I try.
I can attest to that. That we're almost closing up, but I want to ask a question. Which do you prefer now at this stage of your life, acting or producing?
I'm still acting. Acting. Yeah, I still love, telling stories. I'm a storyteller at heart, and just the ability to create a character and get lost in it. I think that creates wonder and excitement in my heart every single time. I still love producing, but acting, I love it, hands down.
Now, do you ever have a hard time separating yourself from a character?
No. Again, and it comes back to really knowing who you are, and I had to learn that, you have to find out. I had to find out who Stacy was, right? Who is Stacy? What is Stacy all about? What is she like? What doesn't she like? I had to really find my base point, and then everything else is built from there. So when I'm doing a character, I know where I am, where I start, and where I stop, and where the character starts and where the character stops. So thankfully, I haven't had a situation where I can't turn that off and return to my life. And I think there are actors that have difficulty with that, because I think they haven't found the baseline. They haven't found in truth who they are, where they stop, where they start. Mm-hmm. So that sometimes that gets a little muddled with the characters that we decide to play. So thankfully, I haven't yet had a problem with that.
Good. And I like the fact that you use the word truth, because I think one of my themes, and I don't have New Year's resolutions, I create themes, and the theme for this year is to speak and live my truth.
Right.
And what it's done for me at this point, it's only just entering into the second quarter. I've become more liberated, I think. I no longer am as apologetic.
Yes.
I choose to remove somebody from my life.
Yes.
Because of their negativity and their negative energy.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I have been in that phase as well. There was a time when I was afraid to do that.
Yeah.
I was more interested in people's approval, and making sure that I was fitting in and doing what was expected of me. As I get older, I realize I'm a grown woman. I have to make decisions for myself about everything. I need to be happy. And if it means that you need to be removed, or this situation or circumstance need to be modified or removed or adjusted, then that's what needs to happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And live free from there.
Live free, live my truth.
Stacey, I told you we wouldn't be on here long. Me personally, if I had the time, I would go for hours. And that's one of the things I really, really, truly love about what I'm doing now with my life, and even doing this show, is that I've had the opportunity to really get to know people who have had a positive impact in my life. Maybe they didn't know it. Maybe at the time it was just an interaction, but as the years have gone by, I still think back to, the headache that I've caused you at times, years and years.
That's okay.
And but to see where you were and where you are, I feel privileged and feel honored to know you, and even more so to be allowed to interview you and have you on the show.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure. And as I said, I'm just stoked to see you and to see your development and your growth, and as you do your thing, and as you find your way. And one of the things I also want people to remember is that we're gonna find it eventually. Just relax and go through the process. You're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna fall down, you're gonna mess up, and that's okay. Life is designed to be that way. It's like you go to the gym and you have to lift weights. It's hard. It's not necessarily pleasant. But at the end of the day, you have muscles and you're ripped and all that. But that comes from the resistance. That comes from the hard work. That comes from the struggle. And it's the same in life. We have to go through these struggles and go through these mishaps, and we fall and we whatever. But at the end of it, we're better for it. We're stronger for it. So kudos to you, and keep doing your thing. And
I will. And again, hey, that wraps up today's show of Keep It Moving with Ivan Hunt. My guest today is Stacey Rose. You can check her out. Are you still on Ballers? Yes or no?
Well, I don't know yet, so we'll see. Okay. Hopefully they invite me back. We'll see.
But if you don't catch on Ballers, upcoming season or whatever, she's going to be all over the place. She's doing big things, and I'm super, super excited about having Stacey on here today. Again, this is Ivan Hunt, host of Keep It Moving. Peace.
Thank you.
Well, folks, that's it for this week. I'm your host, Chad Bumgarner. I want to give a shout out to my Our Voice 360 team, Mike Brown, Pete Hunt, Ventress Fountain, and Ivan Hunt. As always, thanks for tuning in to Our Voice 360, our perspectives, our way, keeping you in the know while you're on the go. See you next week.